At the beginning of the story, a serious verdict was handed down for the main protagonist of the story. Onizaki Satoru was standing in front of the judges when, in a chilling voice, the judge announced that the defendant, Onizaki Satoru, had been found guilty of 15 counts of first-degree murder and was therefore sentenced to capital punishment. After the charges were listed, Satoru showed no reaction and simply thought that this was fine. While staring forward with lifeless eyes, Satoru thought that he could finally leave this rotten world. The judge then announced that, per the amendment to the juvenile law, capital punishment also applied to defendants who were 16 years old at the time of the crime. According to the law of criminal proceedings simplification, if the defendant did not appeal to a higher court, the sentence would be executed within 3 months after the conviction. It was noted that this had happened 2 years ago, in spring. A flashback followed, revealing Yuna, Satoru's friend, dead on the ground as reporters surrounded her, cameras flashing relentlessly. While observing her condition, one of the reporters commented that it appeared to be rape and remarked on how cruel it was, noting that she had only been a child. The scene shifted to Satoru receiving a phone call in which he was told to calm down and listen carefully. The incident involving Yuna was explained to him, and Satoru, overwhelmed with shock, realized that Yuna had been killed. The scene then returned to the present, where a policeman opened a door and announced that convict #994's time had come. Satoru followed the officer silently. While walking, the officer glanced at Satoru from the side and wore a strange smile, thinking that this was the famous prodigy with an IQ over 200. The officer reflected that people from all fields had high hopes for Satoru, yet this was where he had ended up. Laughing, the officer recalled the huge fuss surrounding the case and remarked internally that nobody had thought a madman was hiding beneath the genius's appearance. The officer concluded that commoners could never understand what went on inside a genius's mind. Satoru, maintaining a dead expression, thought that whenever people talked about him, they always called him a genius. Some had been envious, some had tried to flatter him, and others had openly hated him. Everyone had looked at him with prejudice. Only Yuna had been different. Satoru remembered Yuna shouting at him for being late. Satoru had replied that he was busy because he had a mock test the next day. Yuna had punched him on the back and insisted that he would be the best even if he did not study, reminding him to keep his promise. Awkwardly, Satoru had asked whether Yuna really wanted him to be her model for the art competition, suggesting she could find a better theme. Yuna had teased him by mentioning Da Vinci and Napoleon, noting that all those geniuses had left behind self-portraits. Feeling annoyed, Satoru had thought that even Yuna was making fun of him, but Yuna had smiled and said she was only joking. She insisted that there was no one else besides her who could draw his portrait because she was his childhood friend and knew all his good points. As Yuna began sketching Satoru, Satoru rubbed his cheek slightly, blushing, and thought that he wished he had asked her back then and wondered what she had thought of him. While Yuna measured his features and told him not to move, Satoru watched her and thought that he wished he had told her that he had always loved her. As memories of their time together flooded his mind, Satoru thought that he regretted missing his chance, never imagining that their happiness would end so abruptly. Later, sitting in front of Yuna's photo with pain and anger consuming him, Satoru had sworn that he would avenge her. The scene returned to the present with a newspaper headline announcing that a 16-year-old boy had been arrested on indictment for the murder of 15 men. Satoru walked toward the hanging rope, thinking about Yuna and acknowledging that he was about to be executed, yet feeling no fear at all. As the officer adjusted the rope around Satoru's neck and asked if he had any last words, Satoru responded internally that he had none. However, Satoru wished that if he could be reincarnated in a different world, he could be with Yuna in a world without filth. With a peaceful smile, the floor beneath his feet collapsed, leaving Satoru hanging from the rope. His final thought was that he was finally coming to Yuna. After a few seconds, Satoru realized he could still open his eyes. Regaining his senses, Satoru found himself surrounded by dark fog, unbearable humidity, and suffocating heat. Shocked, Satoru wondered what had happened and where he was, believing he should have died. Suddenly, Satoru noticed something beside him. As he tried to rise, he realized he had been lying atop a pile of hundreds of rotting corpses. His hand landed near a decaying eye filled with maggots, causing him to flinch violently. Satoru recoiled, screamed, and vomited, questioning where he was and why he was still alive. A door suddenly opened with a loud, eerie sound. 2 people dragged in another corpse while 3 girls struggled with something disturbing. Satoru realized in horror that they had just dumped a dead body there. When the girls noticed movement, they panicked and fled after seeing Satoru. Mistaking him for a beast, Satoru shouted after them, demanding to know why they were running and what the pile of corpses was. Sunlight streamed through the door, and when Satoru stepped outside, he was shocked to see that the sun appeared far larger than normal. Overwhelmed, Satoru clutched his head and admitted he did not understand what was happening, wondering if this place was hell. At that moment, a girl collapsed on the ground, crying out not to be left behind. Satoru realized this could not be hell and approached her, only for the girl to scream in fear. Noticing her uniform, Satoru recognized it as Kyoranhai's uniform and realized that this was his school. Seeing the school in ruins, Satoru questioned when and why it had fallen apart. The terrified girl begged him not to kill her, confusing Satoru. Suddenly, a beast-like police officer appeared behind Satoru and struck him, slamming him into a wall. The officer reported through a walkie-talkie that he had found the missing girl and ominously instructed someone to nail her. Shocked by the word nail, Satoru watched as the officer lunged toward the girl. Satoru attacked in response, crushing the officer with a collapsed roadway and repeatedly assaulting him with brutal force. Witnessing this, the girl declared the act absolutely unforgivable. Satoru, enraged and desperate, demanded answers about what had happened to the school, the corpses, the cop, and the sun. Overwhelmed, Satoru clutched his head as it spun. The girl, terrified, recognized Satoru as Anizaki Satoru and stated that they had killed him. Another arrow narrowly missed Satoru as Haruka arrived, checking if Saya was safe. Haruka questioned whether Satoru had killed the cop and suggested it might have been a fight among beasts. Saya rejected that idea angrily. Haruka aimed another arrow at Satoru, ordering him to step back and firing again. Satoru fled, shocked that she had truly tried to shoot him. He ran upstairs and entered a classroom, only to be stunned by the sight of the destroyed city outside. The girls followed and ordered him not to move. Makino recognized Satoru's voice and stated that it was impossible, explaining that she had stabbed Anizaki Satoru to death the previous day when he broke into the school and that his corpse had been carried to the warehouse. It was further stated that the one they killed had been a beast, while this Satoru resembled the one from before the flare. Confused, Satoru demanded an explanation. The girls spoke of a solar flare. Satoru explained what solar flares were, correctly recalling their cycle. The girls confirmed that a mega flare had occurred, surpassing all predictions, destroying electrical systems and disrupting Earth's magnetosphere. It was explained that the electromagnetic wave had damaged men's brains, turning all men into wicked beasts who assaulted women. There were no sane men left. The girls explained that they had survived 3 months thanks to emergency supplies but believed the world was already finished. Haruka demanded Satoru explain who he really was. Satoru explained that he had been executed and awakened in this world. One girl theorized reincarnation into a parallel world, suggesting that Satoru swapped places with the beast version of himself. Haruka rejected the idea and attacked, injuring Satoru. In pain, Satoru admitted that all he wanted was to see Yuna in the afterlife and questioned why he was still alive. Accused of being a beast, Satoru screamed that he was not one, stating that men who rape women deserved to be slaughtered, but that he was not like them. He swore he would never harm women, even if they killed him. Satoru collapsed. Despite Haruka's refusal, Saya insisted on treating his wound, stating that Satoru had saved her. Left alone, Satoru asked to be left to die, believing that death would reunite him with Yuna. Suddenly, Satoru noticed a sketch on the board. Recognizing it instantly as the portrait Yuna had drawn of him, Satoru was shocked, knowing it had been destroyed when Yuna was killed. A girl reacted in disbelief when Satoru mentioned Yuna's death. Satoru demanded to know if Yuna was alive in this world. It was explained that before the flare, Yuna had been living a normal life. Overwhelmed, Satoru realized that Yuna was still alive somewhere in this world. Leaving the girls behind despite their calls, Satoru cried as he declared that he had planned to die and believed he had no reason to live in such a depraved world. However, he had now found a reason. Determined, Satoru vowed to see Yuna again in this world.